Today, Great.com talks with Jennifer Columbine, who is the CEO, the founder, and Queen Elf at the Family Giving Tree. If you've not heard of them yet, they inspire community kindness, generosity, and volunteerism by fulfilling exact holiday wishes and providing backpacks filled with STEAM-based school supplies to those in need. Combined, these two programs that I just mentioned have served almost 2 million children throughout the Bay Area. If you're new here to the podcast, please press subscribe on YouTube or on the podcast app, because today we are going to learn more about the gift of giving and how giving can bring you joy, offer hope, and open countless opportunities. Ms. Jennifer, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here.
I, here with Great.com Talks With, I have the chance to talk with a variety of different people in a variety of different roles. Heads of marketing, heads of communication, heads of PR. Last week, I had the opportunity to talk with this woman that had given tours around a museum for like 27 years, but she was a tour guide. Right? So I have the chance to chat with all sorts of people. On the rare occasion, I'm honored to be able to chat with someone that is the founding root, the founder, the sort of catalyst of a movement. And when I get that opportunity, I like to try to spend a little bit in just your journey and what you have going on and where this came from. And so I'd like to start with that. You founded the Family Giving Tree something like 30-ish years ago,
Yep.
30 some odd years ago, right out of college, if LinkedIn serves me right.
Yep.
What was the catalyst? What were you seeing or feeling at the time? What was going on? I 5-6 years ago graduated college, and there's nobody in my realm that was talking about starting something like that you have going on here, right? And so I would assume that you had influences or something that pushed you in a specific direction, and I'd like to learn more about what was that catalyst? What got you there?
Sure. So it was my MBA class project that I recommended we do this. The professor had said, go out and do something that adds value to someone else's life, and then come back and tell us about it. And that was our final exam in this creativity and management class. So fun. And I recommended that we do something like a Family Giving Tree and help a bunch of children in East Palo Alto. That was very close to where I grew up, and I knew that there was a lot of need there. And the classmates shot the idea down. They didn't think it was going to work. And so after class, one student came up and said, Jen, I thought you had a really good idea. And I said, yeah, I really, it just feels right. And he said, well, let's do it anyway. And those two statements were the end of it, like that, or the beginning of it. And so we did. And we, called 300 children in East Palo Alto and told them we were elves and that we worked for Santa, and asked what they wanted Santa to bring them for Christmas, and hand wrote all these little wish cards, and then had no place to send the wish cards to. And it was like, oh my God, what do we do? And started making phone calls to all the companies in the Bay Area. And oh my God, I got hung up on, I got transferred to nobody. I got never called back by almost 100 companies. And then I got a wrong number. I was trying to reach some administrator at Hewlett Packard. And a woman answered the phone. It was a man I was trying to call. And the woman answered the phone, and I got in the wrong number, but she asked me what I was doing. And I told her, and she said, oh, that sounds like a great idea. I'll call you back. So I hung up thinking, oh, well, there's another one that I won't get back. And a few minutes later, she called me back and she said, yeah, Jennifer, bring your wish cards, bring a Christmas tree to the corporate cafeteria at HP, and we'll see what happens. And so I ran over there and put out my wish cards, and then I went home and said, oh my God, what happens if the employees don't buy those gifts for those kids? Because I've talked to them. And my dad said, well, go talk to the richest person that you know and ask them for money. And that was the beginning of my fundraising career. I did that. And he said, okay, I'll buy a gift for every child you've spoken to. And I knew I was set. And then he called the Mercury News and the Palo Alto Times, and they went and did stories on us, and 28 companies signed up. And by the holiday, we had 2,000 gifts given to those kids. And so it was not something I grew up dreaming about. It was not something I intended or planned to do for my career. I was going to be an event coordinator at some company, I'm sure. It was meant to be. Obviously, I know I'm in the right place doing the right thing, but it wasn't what I grew up thinking I would do with my life.
Yeah. And you know what I hear through that is I mean, I hear determination. I hear more consistency. Like you had this idea, you had a couple people validate that idea, and then you said, I'm on to something. I'm going to pick up the phone and start calling, right? And I mean, you were getting rejected and declined, and by chance, and we'll call it chance, we'll call it the good Lord, we'll call it whatever you want. The dots started to connect, and then this thing just caught like wildfire, which is incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think it's a real testament to the fact that the community values it as much as it does, when during the COVID year, we still were able to help 78,000 kids.
It's insane.
82,000 the previous year. So maybe 4,000 less than in a normal good year. But that's completely a testament to the people that are out there that really want to support these families and these kids and let them know that they matter.
I do want to talk a little bit about the organization. If I heard you right, you're specific to the Bay Area, Palo Alto area, West Coast. Like, where's your region, boundaries, things like that?
Northern California.
Got it.
About 13 counties in Northern California. And
how did you land on Northern California? Is that just because it's local to you, or is there something more? Is there something deeper?
Backyard, honestly, it's backyard. I find a lot of our donors like to serve those that are closest to them. And so if you're growing up in Palo Alto, that's not as easy to do. There's not a lot of needy families in Palo Alto, but East Palo Alto is next door. And there's a lot of families there that need help. And so we started with East Palo Alto and then just expanded to all of the areas in the Bay Area that had the most need. So like the Tenderloin in San Francisco, for example, East San Jose is a pocket of poverty that's pretty bad. Oakland is another pocket of poverty that's pretty bad. And so we spread into those areas right away. And now we're in 13 counties. So we take care of needy children in the entire Bay Area.
I mentioned offline, but in my 9 to 5, I'm a sales guy. I cover 13 states on the West Coast, and San Francisco or California being one of them. Of my 13 states, San Francisco has maybe the most dense homeless or in need population that I've seen in my region. Maybe it's influenced by folks that I hear in the area and their complaints of the homeless or the tent little population communities. But I guess this is a twofold question of one, do you have a number? Do we have statistics or something like how many children or families are in need in that area? And then two, what is causing this problem? What is the root of this issue? Is there a lack of jobs? Excuse me. Is there a lack of jobs? Is there some sort of law or regulation or issue in the legal boundaries of why folks have migrated to that area? Like what is going on? Why is the number so high in that area?
Honestly, I think it's two things. I think it's a poor educational system and absolutely insane rents. The cost of renting and buying homes here in the Bay Area is really crazy. And so if you are a janitor or you work as a bag boy at a grocery store or you pump gas or what you do something that's of value to other people as a service, you really don't get paid very much for it, right? And then you go to rent an apartment and it's $2,500 for a studio apartment for two people to live in. But by the way, I'm a family and I have 5 kids. Like, there's no way to make that work. And so it's, I think that's one of the things that COVID has really brought to light is the disparity between those who have and those who have not. And the educational problem is that so much of the education is funded for these elementary, middle, high school students by like property taxes and taxes in the area that school is in. It doesn't really make any sense because if you're in Los Altos, those parents can pay money to have extra school activities and music classes and all of that kind of thing. Well, you can't do that in East Palo Alto. Their PTA is, they're not able to collect money. There's no money there to collect. And so the difference between the educational opportunities for those who are struggling is horrible, absolutely horrible, I think, in the Bay Area. And so those families are moving away. They have no place to live. They're getting very poor educations. And so now at the end of this 14 months of COVID, we're seeing restaurants closing, not because they don't have business, but because they now have no staff. Right now we're seeing closings because those people had to leave. They could not afford to stay here.
Yeah.
So it's monumental. The scope, you asked about the stats. There's more than 400,000 underprivileged children in the Bay Area. So 400,000 children who are dealing with food scarcity, for example. They are dealing with food scarcity. So whether they're going to have lunch or not, what they're going to have for dinner, those questions come up a long way before can we buy our child a backpack and some pencils and pens for school, right? Or provide for them for the holidays. And they're two different drives that we do, and they're very, very different things. But if we can't give those kids the pencils and the pens and scissors and glue sticks, they can't do their homework, right? And they're already disadvantaged with parents who can't help them with their homework because they are working 2 jobs or 3 jobs, or they don't speak English. So these kids just have it bad on so many levels. So we figure at least a backpack and the school supplies lets them get homework done. I grew up in this environment. It's really painful to ask to borrow a pencil from someone because you didn't have a pencil.
Totally.
And it's real. It's happening.
Yeah. I mean, and you get set it off. I mean, for lack of a better term here, a child that's put into that place seems to be getting started off on the wrong foot right out of the gate. Right. Yep. Like they're put in a position where they're, like you said, there's 5-6 people in a studio apartment getting extremely scrappy. The education system seems to be behind the curve already. And when they're showing up and they lack all of the necessary supplies and they're showing up to a behind the curve system, it's just negative after negative after negative. To expect people to flourish, to expect a child to flourish in an area like that, it's extremely difficult. It's a tough hill to climb. And that number you gave me there, it gives me shivers of 400,000 children. That is an incredible, it's a staggering number.
Yeah. It's almost 500,000.
Yeah. Let's slowly transition or try to transition to the solution. And I mean, you mentioned you have 2 programs going on. Feel free, let's elaborate on those, but what is the Family Giving Tree doing about this challenge that we're talking about, this issue here, these 400,000 children?
So basically, I think the real value that we add towards the population that we're trying to serve is a message of caring. So I have a belief that if we let these families know that they're part of our community, that we value them, that we are willing to give our time and our resources to help them with their children, I believe that they have a better chance of growing up feeling a part of something as opposed to apart from something. And when they're growing up and they're disenfranchised and they're not connected to their home school, their teachers, their administrators, their counselors, their doctors, these kids they're not feeling care from people other than, of course, their family members. And that care is really missing. And it's really stark for so many of them that, just like I said, just a backpack and school supplies can make a huge difference emotionally, not just in the ability to do their homework, but actually making them feel cared for. The holiday drive is very different. The holiday drive was born, 10 years after the Family Giving Tree started. People were asking me why I started the Family Giving Tree. And I just said, well, I'm not sure, but I'm in the right place. I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm doing the right thing with my life and encouraging other people to help me do that, right? That's my job here. I'm here to inspire people to help other people. That's why I'm on the planet. But I had someone asked me to come do a presentation to a social service group, which I do a lot. I went to do the presentation. I talked about the Family Giving Tree. We're 10 years old. We help this many kids, blah, blah, blah. And somebody in the back raised their hand and they said, Jennifer, do you remember when you were 6 years old and a social service group came and took your little brother out shopping to buy gifts for everybody in your family? And I was stunned because no, I had not remembered that. He described it. I instantly did remember that. And then I burst into tears in front of all of these people because, oh my God, that was the Christmas that complete strangers brought us a Christmas tree, brought us presents for everyone, brought us a Christmas dinner. And then on Christmas morning, I got to watch my mom open a gift, which I'd never seen her get a gift before. And I got to watch my little brother watch my mom because he had never been able to give a gift like that before. And he was ecstatic. It was just, wow. And to totally have not even remembered that at all for the first 10 years of my organization, I was like, I'm doing this because it matters. because it can help people change their lives, and it can help people feel really valued by complete strangers. I never got to thank those people, right? 30 years later, I'm like, wow, you guys are amazing. Thank you for doing that. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that is such a moving experience, right? I mean, to be in a position where you're lacking, and I called it scrappy earlier, right? You're in this studio, you're in this area where you feel like you can't catch a break. And then up comes a holiday, or up comes school time, and you get a backpack full of supplies, or you wake up on Christmas and everybody in your family is opening gifts of things that they asked for. That's something that you said, I think in the moment it's moving for the individual, for the child, but also long term, it just shows there are other people out there that love me and that care for me, and that want me to succeed and that want me to grow. I love that idea. Where, I guess first, let me share 2 stats that I saw on your website. Then I want to ask, where's this stuff coming from? These are 2019 stats, but like you said, they're 4,000 or 5,000 people apart. They're going to be very close. 2019, the back to school drive. So supplying students, children with backpacks and school supplies, just over 41,000 children that year, that's an incredible number. Yeah. The holiday program, 92,000, just over 92,000 children in 2019. All of these supplies, the gifts, where's all of this coming from? Are people donating these to different areas and then you're redistributing them? Are people donating money and you're bulk buying? Like how are you getting all this stuff for the children?
Can I say all of the above? Yeah. Sure. So we have the same model we had 31 years ago. We interview children, we find out what they want. We put those on wish cards on little pieces of paper, and those little wish cards I send out to about 1,000 places in the Bay Area. There are big businesses like Hewlett Packard and IBM, and there's little businesses like Whole Foods store, or my dentist, for example, right? My chiropractor takes wish cards, and then they put them up or display them somehow, and then their customers or their employees take those tags, buy the gifts, and bring them back. So that's the main way that we get gifts. And every year we have an online virtual tree where people can make donations and we do the purchasing. And yes, we do the purchasing in bulk, in advance, wholesale, right? So our money goes a long ways. So 2020 was really interesting because of COVID for many reasons, but the purchasing and the providing of gifts for kids, we didn't have a place to send. We didn't have 1,000 places to send those wish cards to. People weren't in their offices, right? They were working from home. So we only signed up 15,000 kids instead of more than 80 that we normally sign up, because we didn't think we were going to be able to help them. And then we turned the virtual giving tree on and it went crazy. And people all over the world were supporting kids in the Bay Area on that tree. And we ended up getting $1 million in a week in December. So it was too late to go and do the super bulk purchasing and get stuff out by the holidays, which was unfortunate. But man, into April, we have been giving gifts into April. Wow. Because the money has continued to come. And as long as the money comes, we'll spend it and buy the gifts and give them out. So we were able to give 100 homeless families tents and sleeping bags, in the end of January. And it was freezing cold. That was That's so amazing. Awesome. So yeah, it's been very different, very, very different. We find the gifts that people bring us, that people purchase and deliver to us to give to the kids, are way better than the ones we end up buying, honestly. Like, I don't know. I think people put a lot more energy into it. They wrap them. They make personalized, candy cane drawings and things and put them with their gifts. They make them stockings, and it's awesome to see the love and the care that the donors take to help these kids.
I can't, I would pay money to sit in your area in like October, November, December, just with the influence, like the good vibes and the karma. Yeah. The energy that you could feel in the area. Every November, December, my company, we do this thing. I sell cybersecurity. And so we can call ourselves geeks, but we do this thing. It's like Geeks That Gift or Geeks That Give in November, December. And we do the exact same thing. Like in in this community center, there's this giant tree. We hang things on the tree. You come by, you see what you could pick something off. You buy what that local family had asked for. You put it in a box. I mean, it's the exact same thing. And when you walk up to that tree and you see, 15 boxes underneath the tree or 20 boxes, and you realize, wow, there's going to be 15, 20 families here that are about to be impacted. You get a sense of you feel very inspired. You feel very, you just feel like you're doing something. You're having an impact. And to be doing this for, what did I say earlier? 92,000 children at one swing. I can't imagine the energy that's just coming out of the 30 plus employees you have. It's got to be an incredible feeling.
Yeah, it is very, very much incredible. We do have a video on YouTube that has a drone footage. So we had a friend bring a drone and fly around. We borrow a warehouse every year. That's actually one of our biggest struggles, is finding space to do this drive. So we had a young man come in with a drone and do a little tour, and it just, you can almost feel the energy of the people, but what you're really seeing is the volume of help. And we find that people come into the warehouse to volunteer. About 8,000 people a year come to volunteer. And they often cry. They walk in the door and they cry. And I wait to see if they're crying because there's so much need, or are they actually crying because there's so much love. Because when you walk into the warehouse, it is an overwhelming experience of how many strangers have come together to make this happen for these families.
I want to sort of capture the idea. How can others get involved with this? But before I even get there, let's talk a little bit about where this is going. And so we spent some time talking about the challenge, the issue that you're facing there on the West Coast, the local issue. We've talked about sort of the solution that you've taken, the two programs here, the back to school drive and the holiday programs. You've been with the organization, you founded it 30 some odd years ago, and you've been exercising and building momentum with these two programs since. And I say 30-ish years ago because so many people think on a short-term scale, right? Like, how can I get something done in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years? You've been here 30 years. I would expect or assume you're going to be there another 30 years.
Hope so. Yep.
Yeah, you can think much longer term. And my question is the idea to just allow these two programs, these two branches, to continue to build momentum. And at some point, these are both helping, 200,000 children a year or whatever that is. Do they continue to build momentum? Or are you going to build up a third branch? Is this going to morph into something different at some point? And where's this headed in 10, 15 years?
I think, so I would like to be able to retire in about 12 years. And so I dream of two things, one of which is some company gives us a building. And then we, of course, have like a traditional nonprofit capital campaign to renovate it and move into it. But my dream there is really saying that we're not homeless anymore. We're kind of nomadic elves, right? Like every year we have to go borrow another building to use for the month. And it's 150,000 square feet. So it'd be like a $300,000 expense even if we wanted to rent the building for the month, which we couldn't do. So being a nomadic elf or being a homeless elves is kind of stressful. We could do a lot more things efficiently. We could use a lot more volunteer help better. We could do a better job wrapping gifts, et cetera, if we had our own space. Because we, like I said, move in, do the drive and move back out. So we can't even put it in shelves, right? Like you can't hang anything from walls. And so that's one of my big dreams. My other dream is that there is absolutely no reason that this can't be done anywhere else. I started it as a class project. I worked for 5 years on it for no pay. I understand that most people can't do that. That was really an amazing blessing that I was able to do that. I worked part-time doing something else to earn the money to do the drives. And it wasn't until the 5th year that we were big enough where I could actually take a salary and stop, waitressing and such. But I would love for other people in other areas of the country to hear about what we're doing and see that it's not actually rocket science. It's pretty darn simple. And to come and learn about what we do and how to scale it and then take it back and do it. I mean, there really isn't any reason that we can't everywhere in the United States be helping underprivileged children for the holidays, for example.
How can someone get involved? Because of your answer, there's going to now be twofold. One, let's say you've inspired that individual and you're looking for just someone like you that's inspired to make that much of an impact, that much of a difference, and take this on for their area. Where do they start? Would you suggest reaching out to you? Do they travel? Do they do
exactly?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Reach out to me. I'm Jennifer at familygiving.org. Stay in my house and, spend the week before Christmas with us and see what incredible organized chaos can do.
Now,
it's a mind-blowing experience.
I can imagine. For folks that are local that just want to contribute to the cause, or that are not local, they want to contribute to the cause with your virtual giving tree, that just liked what they heard today and said, I want to be a part of that. What's the best way to do that?
That's awesome. So our website is fantastic for information and for the virtual trees. They're up all the time, one for the back to school drive and one for the holiday drive. So right now we're collecting funds for the back to school drive. And then in October, we switch over and collect funds for the holiday drive. So it's just familygivingtree.org is our familygivingtree.org is our website. And we kind of keep it fresh. That's a little hard to do with a staff of 15, but we try to update it often enough, but for people who are interested in learning about us, it's a good resource. And people who want to reach out to us, there's lots of our staff has our emails on the website all over the place. So people can reach out to somebody in development if they were interested, or someone in marketing if they were interested, or me. And I would love to entertain people who have interest in doing this.
Awesome. Ms. Jennifer, I'm 30-ish minutes in. I really, really appreciate your time. The efforts, the momentum that you've built. I did some studying over the weekend in preparation for this, and found myself getting antsy up to it just because I'm in love with the mission, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much. That's beautiful. I appreciate that.
Of course. For the listeners, I really appreciate all of you listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please press subscribe on YouTube or on your podcast app. That alone will show the algorithm that this is an important conversation so that people can learn the importance of giving, and not only what that can do for those around you and for your overall community, but the end, what giving can do for you.
Yes, exactly.